What the hell is this movie? So I know what some of you are thinking. It has the word Sadako in the title, so it must be related to the Japanese movies, right? And thus, you're thinking, I really need to watch this because I'm a Sadako fan and I need to see every movie that she's in, right? Well, what if I told you this was a Chinese horror movie and, well, let's just check out what it's about. A group of teens, or young adults, on a campus start to panic when their friend dies after they play the Plate Fairy game. Plate Fairy being Dixien. Back at their dorm, something ghostly seems to be following them, and there is a connection to the ex-girlfriend of one of the students and a music box he brought her from Japan, which seems to have driven her crazy. Her spirit, reborn as Sadako, taunts the girls while at the same time the Plate Fairy Dixien also seems to have a score to settle with them too. Then science gets involved and it's all explained in typical Chinese horror movie standards. So this one comes courtesy of China from 2017. The same year Sadako vs. Kayako came out. So obviously there's some inspiration there, and I believe the same year that Bunshin Saba vs. Sadako came out. Now, if you're looking for a movie to watch between the two of them, I'm going to tell you right now, pick Bunshin Saba vs. Sadako, because this thing's a mess. It is 65 minutes long, so it's not a very long movie. But it does give off very, very strong student movie vibes. There's not a lot of quality here other than the cast. The girls in this film are stunningly beautiful, and they're always in these skimpy costumes. So, if you're a bit of a perv, there's something there for you. But in regards to actual movie itself, the story is an utter mess. Now, it's not helped by the fact that it's soft English, it's English subtitles which are hard coded into the movie, are some of the worst you'll ever read. And it's really hard for a native English speaker to follow along with the movie. So you kind of have to interpret a lot of what the bullshit on the screen says. But the simple matter of the fact is that there really is no Sadako in this film. There are illusions to Sadako, and unlike Bunshin Saba vs. Sadako, at least this one has the throat gurgling, but what this one doesn't have is the whole videotape thing. So there's no real explanation of how Sadako has entered into their world, other than this really strange connection to a music box that I think the subtitle says that the ex-boyfriend got for the girlfriend from Japan. And then, I don't know, something happened, because I'm really telling you, it was extremely hard to follow. Something happened that drove the girlfriend nuts. Everyone thinks the girlfriend's dead. In reality, she's living in the campus as Sadako. I mean, that's just very typical Chinese horror movie. And she then starts to chase after these girls who seem to like her ex-boyfriend. So really, it's a teen drama about boyfriends and girlfriends. And then the whole Dixien element is thrown in. Now, Dixien being the Plate Fairy. There's no visual representation of this character in Chinese movies. It's always just the same character. It's the same as Bixien. It's the same as Taixien. It's always a female figure in a long red dress with long hair and long red nails. So it's a very interchangeable ghost character that's used in between all these Chinese horror films. And the connection is that they're all called via this Ouija board. And there's a shot of the Ouija board in this film, and hilariously, it's in 7 different languages, except English. So annoyingly, when they're asking Dixien the questions and the plate goes to the spots it needs to go on, you can see all these other languages there, but you can't see the English. So you kind of don't know what the answers are because the characters don't repeat what they are.
该我了，天仙，天仙，请告诉我，明环学长是否有喜欢的人？
There's a couple of bits that happen at the start of the film that might have you very slightly thinking that perhaps this is a Japanese movie. There is a warning after the opening movie studio screen that comes up in both English and Japanese that warns that this is an adult-only film that contains scary scenes or something along that lines. Now, that is extremely weird for China because Chinese movies do not have age ratings. They do not have any of these parental warnings or any type of these content warnings. In fact, historically, the only film that's ever done that is Wolverine. When it released in China, it came with a warning that it wasn't suitable for anyone under the age of 8. And even then, it was still edited. So to see something like that in this film, it's clearly added for marketing purposes. There's also a title card about 5 or 10 minutes into the film, about 5 minutes because the movie's not that long, that writes 3 days earlier, but in Japanese. So it's really trying to confuse you into thinking that this is some kind of Japanese film and there's potential to be some kind of canon with the Sadako universe. But please, if you are a Sadako fan, do not watch this film under the interpretation that you're missing some kind of lore or that Sadako makes this trip to China, because none of that happens. Now, doing a bit of research on the film, it appears that it was released as a part of a film festival in China. And it's giving off a bit of vibes to me of the movie Dead Space, which is, if you've ever watched some of the videos on my channel, is a Chinese ripoff of A Nightmare on Elm Street. Now, this one feels very much like that film, except I don't quite understand which movie it's attempting to rip off. That ripped off a slasher and did it really well, but this one kind of can't rip off any supernatural movies because of the whole Chinese horror movie thing. But it does give off some very bad vibes, this film. Now, visually, it doesn't look too bad. There are some really great camera angles, lighting effects, and other kinds of effects that kind of think, ooh, it feels like a horror movie. But the audio is terrible. Like the sound is so poor. Yes, you can hear the people very clearly, but it's like the film was filmed with, now I'm going to get these terms incorrect because when it comes to doing videos, I don't do the audio, someone else does it. There are two types of microphones. There's a microphone that captures everything, and there's a microphone that captures what's just in front of it. Now, normally for movies, they use the microphones that are just in front so that the director can be in the background yelling out instructions and the actors can hear it and keep going. But in this movie, it's clear that they've used the microphone that picks up everything. So there's a lot of noise in the background, a lot of unnecessary shuffling, a lot of unnecessary moving, and even a lot of murmuring, which makes no sense when there's a scene of a girl trying to sleep and there's all this background noise.
没什么，就是想告诉你。
什么啊？
The movie's not been mixed very well. And in the end, you get a poor product, a 65-minute product that if you can find it, good luck on that. I was very tempted to do a commentary of the movie and throw it up on YouTube. The problem is the copy that I got ends up going out of sync by about a good 2.5 minutes. So it in itself is extremely hard to follow. So not only is the film hard to follow because it's badly written, but then the copy that I've got also has a glitch that causes it to go out of sync. It appears to be, from what I can see, a frame rate issue. And the frame rate just doesn't keep up with the audio, and that can probably be fixed quite easily. But I know that because it's got the word Sadako in it, you're probably interested in watching it, and I'm really just trying to emphasize this for the third time. Kind of avoid this one. Like all Chinese horror movies, avoid this one. Sometimes you get gold. Bujin Saba vs. Sadako, Part 1, 2, and Part 3, Hoichi the Earless, are really good and are really fun movies to watch. And they're the kind of movies that even though they end that horrible Chinese way, you can sit there and watch it and go, you know what, I actually really enjoyed that. You can't do that with this film because all of a sudden there's this whole science bit that's introduced that doesn't make any sense at all. You've got a professor who just interjects himself. He looks a lot like Sing Yu. If you know who Sing Yu is, Hong Kong martial arts movies. And then it's got something that I really hate, which is there's no emotion in the character. And what I mean by that is that I'm going to ask you, picture yourself. You've got you and 2 other friends, right? All very close. Now imagine you've known these guys for a couple of years now. Imagine one of them dies. Now, how would you feel? You'd feel pretty sad. You'd feel pretty depressed, and you'd be a bit, emotional at the death of your friend. In this film, one of their friends dies, and the next day they're in class, not only acting like nothing happened, but they talk about her death like it's just a person who lives in the next village. It's just really poor. So anyway, that's Sadako versus DCN. I'm not even going to bother giving it a rating of it because it is an absolutely terrible film. However, you've probably seen some of the footage that's playing in the background as I'm talking, and you're probably thinking it doesn't look too bad. Dan, well, trust me on this one, it's a shocker. If I can fix the film, maybe I'll throw a commentary up on YouTube and Rumble, and we can have a laugh along with it. Maybe even a live stream would be great. But otherwise, don't hold your breath that that's going to happen. I am the Artie Dans, and I would like to thank you for watching this video. Please press the like button if you enjoyed it. If you've got an opinion about this film or any other film that I've ever talked about, don't forget to leave me a comment. Otherwise, I'll catch you the next time I decide to do one of these impromptu video reviews.